Hey, what's up, everybody? XRP back below $2 as yesterday's big move in the stock market is pulling back. So is crypto, right? We're going to talk about the good and the bad. We'll start with the bad. So, obviously, the bearish idea is that now we developed this three-wave pullback back into all of this resistance, right? So we broke down and we had a three-way pullback back into the resistance, which would signal that you could have more downside continuation. That's definitely a reality. So essentially, we have all of this support. I mean, tons of support in here. So, and then we broke it because we knocked on the door. The more times you bounce and bounce, you weaken the structure. So it bounced so many times that it fell through, right? There's only so much a trend line can take before it breaks. And then we had this three-way move back, and now we could continue down as we retested it as resistance. But here's the thing. Since it retested it as resistance, if we look closely, right, you have this three-way move to the upside, right into resistance. So we should, if it was going to be bearish, we should see this thing rock fast to the downside. But we're not seeing that. Instead, we're seeing it flag out pretty nicely. It's flagging. See, it's not dropping like a waterfall like that, right? It's oscillating down, right? Because we have a three-way pullback. You can see here's the top, and then since then we had a three-wave pullback. So that's bullish. That's setting up for a move higher, potentially, right? So because again, there's obviously you could go up, you could go down, right? If you go up, this three-wave move could lead us to that move, right? But if we go down, obviously it's the rejection. So what do I think? Well, I think we need a little bit more time. So again, we got three up. Let's see if we can get three back down, right? Unless maybe this isn't finished. So let's run through the ideas. Either this is like A, B, C, or 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Or it could be a diag, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get 5. Or if it is an ABC, if this was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, three-way pullback, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Then that would be 5, 3, 5. That would be an ABC. We could still get another wave to take the top here before coming back down to revisit the lows. So, but the main thing I think people want to know is, are we finished, or is there hope? I think there's tremendous hope. We see countries are begging to make a deal, and it's only a moment. And basically, what that does to China is that puts China on their own little island of uncertainty, because all the other countries are playing ball except for China, right? And that was kind of by design. So, I think it's still going to take some time, but I think ultimately we're going to see a lot of positive news come out of the tariff situation. I think, to be quite honest, I think President Xi and Trump talk all the time. I think they are friends. I think what we're seeing is kind of like a show unfold, because remember, President Xi of China isn't really that much liked in the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese Communist Party, the deep state within China, that's the problem, right? So you have the People's Republic of China, the people of China, they're good, right? They're just everyday people trying to make their way through life. And then you have some good structure in China leadership, but then you have the Chinese Communist Party who wants basically world domination. But President Xi, I think, doesn't want that. I think he's more in line with Trump, to be quite honest. I think him and Trump talk all the time, and I think this is just gonna get played out. So, but I think President Xi is getting a lot of pushback from the communist regime. So I think President Xi is conflicted in some manners, because China's got a big government. They got a big party over there, and it's corrupt as hell. And they basically, that's how the Chinese Communist Party gets all their money, right? Is through tariffs. So basically what we're telling China is, look, you're going to have to take a pay cut. So, they're not used to that. So I think that I think it's going to happen, but we're probably going to have a little bit of turbulence between now and then. But what the hell do I know? I'm just some random guy on YouTube making a video. What do I know? But I've been following this through the X22 report, the relationship between China, or President Xi and Trump, right? And something tells me that President Xi and President Xi and Trump are both on the same page when it comes to destroying the dollar. I think Trump or China, with the BRICS nations going, the petro yuan, I think this is positioning them around the dollar. I think they want that because the dollar is what is really the problem in the monetary system, because of what it's associated with, all of the debt, all of the derivatives. I mean, we're just in one giant bubble of an illusionary economy. So all of that has to come back to reality, and you can only do that based on gold or crypto. So a day of reckoning is upon us when it comes to the fiat system. But in the meantime, we hodl XRP, and I like the way it looks. Again, we got 3 waves down, we got 3 waves up, and now we have 3 waves down. And in the third wave of this wave here, we have 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we took the low, right? So, and we got an immediate reaction to the upside. So as long as we can, like I said yesterday, we want to flag out, right? That's what we want to do. We want to get away from the scene of the crime, and we want to flag out. And then obviously we want a continuation to the upside. So how could this look? Well, again, you can get 3 waves up, you could get 3 waves down, and then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have an ABC, you flag out, and then you get back up here. So it creates this sort of base. It creates this box of support, right? And we're creating distance between the price and the previous downturn, right? Because this is a big move down, so we want to get away from that. We want to get away from the scene of the crime, so that we can, continue higher. Because it's not, when you have a big move down and you come straight up, you're not going to keep going straight up. It just doesn't make sense. You got to get away from it, So kind of like this over here, we created some kind of a structure, right? It could be a small structure, it could be a bigger one, it could be, all shapes and sizes. So, yeah, I think let's take a look at the 5-minute chart. You can see the 5-minute chart. We had, looks like 3 down, looks like 3 up, and it looks like 1, 2, 3 down. It could be a WXY here. But I don't like this right here. I don't like that. What is that? That looks like a bear flag. It looks like it's flagging It looks like it could have more downside. I wouldn't trust that. I would imagine that you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you come down for 5, and 5 would land us maybe $1.87, $1.90 or so. Yeah, because that was $1.90. So yeah, probably like $1.87. We'll see if this thing can get back up. I mean, obviously you just have a 3-wave move up. So this could keep coming down, guys, for a little bit. But I think we're close. I think we're getting closer. Have to see. We'll have to see. So, yeah, everything looks good. Let's take out the stock market. Why not? So the stock market is down. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, look, the stock market is down 2,000 points today." You know, no, but look, when you have, see, this is the mainstream media lies to the American people, because when you look at the stock market, of course it's down 3,000. You're having a massive volatility, right? So when you look at the volatility in the stock market, right? When you have a massive move to the downside, you get a 3-way pullback, you get a big move to the upside, right? What do you think's going to happen next? You're going to pull back in a big way, right? The stock market had the biggest record day in the history of the world yesterday, and that was this move right there. Let's just look at the daily candle. That was the biggest daily candle percentage or points wise in history. So that was a 3,500 point day for the Dow. So, and today we're down, but obviously we're down, right? The media's like, "Oh, look, we're crashing again." No, but we just had a record day. We just had a major move to the upside. So what do you need to do? You need to create a range. You need, and we did, right? We have the bottom of the range. We have the top of the range. It's established, right? That's what happens when you crash. You're crashing. Then you set the bottom of the range, and then you immediately go back up, and then you set the top of the range. And then what do you do from there? The media wants you to think, "Oh, you just go up." No. You have to come back down at least 50% of that big day. And then the media goes, "Oh, we just took half the day's returns from yesterday, the record day," or something like that. You know, they're trying to make Trump look terrible as much as they possibly can. But it's ridiculous. So we may even have to come all the way back to the bottom of the range, and then come back to the top and establish a base of support, so that we can either continue down or continue up. I think we're probably gonna see some upside from here. Why do I have pink trend lines there? Let me get rid of that. So the whole thing is right, we back tested the top of this, basically, pretty much, right? Or yeah, the S&P missed it by a little bit, but the Dow nailed it perfectly. And then the S&P had a nice trend line. This trend line doesn't work. It's not really that good. If I put it on the base of the candle, it might be a little better. And it's not really that good. That's why I've been looking more towards the SPX. And when we look at the SPX, we can see, let me just steal this trend line here if I can. There we go. Put that right there. Right, so we have, there we go, I got a little trend line there. And you can see we pretty much nailed it. Let's see if I go to the weekly chart. It's a little better. And then with the confluence of that is the back test, right? So we have this trend line here, and we have this support line. So we basically are right in the middle here, right? We did pierce through the trend line, but since then it's came back. So let's see if I get it right, hugging the base of there we go. So that's as close as I'm gonna get it. So yeah, let's see. I mean, it's a pretty steep trend line, so I wouldn't even really look at it too much. I would more so just look at the support, and then I would just, you can even just do this here. So there we go. That makes it simple. So yeah, I think we're just going to have consolidation in here. We're going to, this could continue down, very, very much so, but I just don't really think so. I think if we do continue down, we're going to look at this zone right here. So maybe we have one more low, right? So like 1, 2, 3, then we go up 4, and then we slam down for 5. Because I don't like the wave structure. It doesn't look like it's finished. If we look at this structure here, I don't really have any. I have a 3-wave move down, but it's not a nice oscillating 3-wave move down. And yeah, that's a word I made up. So there you go. That's the stock market. I hate looking at the stock market. I don't trade stocks. I don't really even own them. I'm all crypto, right? I'm a crypto maximalist, right? So the stock market's been around for over 100 years plus. Crypto's been around not that long. And there's so much more opportunity in crypto than the stock market by a lot. By a lot. All right, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is looking okay. We have a low, slightly lower low, slightly lower low. So if we can get a lower high or a higher low, right? And we can start to round out because we want to see this round, right? We want to see it round the sell side of the curve, right? Then you create your base, and then you create the buy side of the curve. This is what you want to see, something like that. So there's your curve, but we still need to create distance. We need to get away from the scene of the crime. You have these big moves down, come back up. Big move down, come back up. So you got to kind of get away from that. You know what I mean? And then kind of play around and then go up. So that creates a bigger base. It creates distance between the correction and the current price. So Bitcoin, nothing really there. I mean, we came very close to back testing this range, but we didn't do it. So there's still an unknown that maybe we still may, right? There's no proof that we've reversed because all we have is a 3-wave move. We need a 5-wave move to kick off the sequence. Like right here is a perfect example. This is exactly what we want to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. Flag out and then go. This is what we want to see. That's exactly what we need in order to get out of there. But we don't have that. All we have is 3. Let's see if I take a little bit of a bars pattern here. And let's move it to the current price. Just to kind of show you here, if this was going to be a 5, something like this. If we can get like 3 up and then you can get 3 down and maybe play around a little bit and then have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. Right? And then you kind of flag out a little bit and then obviously continue. But yeah, so far so good. Again, daily chart, we got, do we have the bull? Yeah, we have big divergence, bullish divergence on the daily. Do we have it on the 2-day? We have it on the 2-day. That's great. We have it. We even guys, we even have it on the 3-day chart. That's pretty good. Whoa, and now that I look at the 3-day chart, that's very interesting. If you notice the 3-day chart, this close, and this close is relatively in the same spot. So that is a very good indicator that, you know, the bulls are defending this support level around 75K. I think 75K is a good spot to hold. 75K. I don't see it going into the 60s unless the stock market really takes a big turn. But yeah, I like, this looks like a double bottom here to me, right? And then you have this wick that takes out this low. That could have been a liquidity grab right there, right? Plus you're flipping red, green, red. So tomorrow we want to flip green. You know, we want to create a base in here of support, right? Because ultimately what we want to see is Bitcoin break above this downward resistance line that's coming up very soon. So, you know, you're kind of let's see, do we have a support line here? Because if I use my eyes, it looks like we do. Let's see, if I take a trend line and I start it from here and I go all the way across. Whoa, look at that. That's perfect, guys. That is beautiful. Perfect trend line. Look at that. You got a hit, 1, 2, and you got third hit. So I like that trend line. I don't want that to break. I want to see it hold. So if you can see, it's all about the rising demand line, rising trend line versus the supply line or the downward resistance line. And these two lines are going to meet. The apex comes in at when? Basically tomorrow, Saturday, or no. Tomorrow, no. Basically, what is that, a couple of weeks or so? Or almost like a month, if probably like about 3 weeks or so. So we're really close. We're really close there, and we'll see if we could break above that. That's the number one thing I'm going to be looking for Bitcoin is can we break above? That's the first order of business, is going sideways. Second order of business, breaking above the downward resistance line. Third order of business, breaking above the first resistance line, which will be right there. Then after that, it would be getting into the retrace, and then after that, it would be looking to see how it corrects. Does it reject violently and crash hard? Does it correct in a 3-wave move? These are all the things we're going to look for to get indications of where this thing could be heading. So there you go. Bitcoin looks fine. It doesn't look bad at all. It looks like, if anything, we could play around at the lows a little bit. Maybe even have one more low again. We haven't even back tested this yet. So we have wiggle room. Let's put it that way. We have a lot of wiggle room to the downside. But we don't have much time to break this because it's coming close. So that's Bitcoin. Let's take a look at some other things here. I forgot to look at this sequential, but I don't think there was anything there. Yeah, because Bitcoin's not trending. It's correcting, so there's nothing there. XRP, you're on a 5 on the 2-day. Okay, so you're on an 8 on the 2-day. So we're about to get a 9 on the 2-day. But I don't think we're going to get it because the count's going to flip before we get there. So, but that's okay. Let's take a look at Theta. So Theta, if anyone was going to have a 9, it would be Theta, because Theta is trending down, right? You could see it's kicking pretty fast to the downside, but I think it's over. I think Theta, I think this wave right here is over. I don't think this wave is going to last any longer. I think it's over. You know, we have clearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you count the subwaves, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? So we have the correct amount of waves to the downside. So anyways, I think this is really the low. I think this should be the low where we're at here. If we look at, because this is where everything originated from. The whole, everything that has been said over the channel, right, over the last couple of years, because I started the channel, again, right there, literally right there. And basically, I came out and I said, look, I think the bottom is in for Theta. If we look at the bigger price chart here, and we look at the weekly chart, we had divergence there and there. We also had 5 waves, right? And we had Wyckoff. Remember, we were talking about Wyckoff a lot. So everything was originated, the whole move, right, originated from this little spot right there. It all stemmed from this whole move, 3-wave move up, and this 3-wave move down all came from this point. And that's exactly where we back tested. So that's a good indication that, hey, we've been going down pretty viciously. I mean, look at this. This is basically a straight line down. So that's not sustainable. Sellers are exhausted. Short sellers. How could you possibly short that? I wouldn't short that in a million years. I mean, you're already down massively. We've already crashed over 80%. I think that's it. And if you look at the weekly chart, we got 3 days left. But if you look at the weekly chart, we're getting a doji. That's pretty good, right? Last time we had one of those candles was right there. But you could see we actually, the following week, after we got this candle, the following week we went up. And then the following week we went up again. So we went up for about 2 weeks following that type of candle. But it gave us an ugly bear flag. So now we have this candle. Let's see if next week and the week after, we can create some kind of a range in here. And then hopefully not a bear flag where we're flagging to the upside, but rather a range or something. Maybe an inverse head and shoulders, or let's see. Because all we have is just a 3-wave move up, that's it. So it's not, it doesn't look like it's completely finished yet. So we could have 3 waves back down. Here's our zone right in here. So as long as we stay in that zone, I think we're pretty good. I think this is the buy zone. This is my buy zone, at least. So actually I'm going to move that there. There we go. Put that down a little bit. That's good enough. So as long as we stay within this zone, I think we're good. Because other than that, what are we looking for? We're looking for this to flatten out, and we're looking for it to round back to the retrace. So that's what I believe very strongly, is we're gonna chill out in here and we're gonna come back into the retrace. So let's see if we get it. Now, what if I'm wrong? Because I could be very easily wrong. If I'm wrong, then this is a 1, 2, and this is a 3. But it looks like it's finished. That's the problem. So we would get 4 and then 5. But even we would still go up. So, but if it's an extended third, and this comes down, just takes it out. I just don't really see that right now. I have a very hard time seeing it. So that's why I'm sticking with it. If we're going to crash, we need some kind of three-way move up like this before we crash. We just don't trickle down. It just very rare that happens. So everything else looks fine. You know, H bar looks okay. You're in this rising or falling wedge. It looks pretty bullish. I think this thing's gonna break out to the upside. So that's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking. I think this is gonna break to the upside. Now, is it gonna do it right now? Is it gonna do it next week? Or does it have to kind of play around a little bit? Well, you can see we already back tested in here. You know, we could back test a little bit lower, you know, as long as we stay above, you know, that 11 cent area. I think we're pretty good for H bar. Yeah, so H bar, XRP, Theta, they all have these three-way moves up. So that's not what you want to see. I mean, that is what you want to see, but that's not what you want to see right before we go up. So what we should see is either this flag out a little bit and get another high. That would be really good because then it would be like a five-wave move. Or if this can kind of flag down, maybe we get like a three-way move down or something and then come back up. Or you have three up and then you get three down. And then you get five up. So 3, 3, 5, that's an A, B, C. You know, that could be something too, right? Because a lot of times these things will revisit the low. And this right here looks an awful lot like what Bitcoin did back, I think it was 21 or 22. Let me show you right here. We can see. So Bitcoin back over here, this right here, kind of reminds me of what was going on back over there. So if we look at it side by side, let's see here. Yeah, not really, but kind of. So, you know, you had the big move down, the big move down, and then you had this three-way move up. You had this three-way move up, and you can see this little hump right in the middle of the wave, right? And then we moved down, but you can see we actually took the lows out here. So here's where the lows, you can see we took the lows out. And here's the low, we massively took the low out. And then you kind of, look what you did though. You came back up in three. See, that this is exactly what I'm saying. Look, you came up in three waves right there. Same thing here. You came up in three waves, right? And then what happened? And then you came down like, you kind of drizzled down. Boom, 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 all the way down. Like a kind of like a three waves up and basically three waves down. And then you shot up. So it would be kind of like this. And what did you do? You created distance. You got away from the scene of the crime, right? You created distance between yourself. So that's what this wave here is, right? See how we're traveling away from this wave. So we could get something like that where we drizzle down like that and then shoot up. And then that would be kind of like the same. There you go. Something kind of like that, you know. And then a continuation and then a continuation. So maybe not. Just an idea. We'll see. So that's H bar. Nothing really. I mean, you got a three-way move down, right? You got a three-way move down. So, and you have five in this wave here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 even. So I think there's a good chance here that we're pretty much finished in here. So that was you know, you down here, you pierce the low, you come back up. Now the bearish thing is this could be a breakdown, right? You broke down and you came all the way up, you retested as resistance, and then you continue down. But if we continue down, we're going to want to see evidence of that. We want to see a sharp move down. But if we start flagging out, that'll be better. That's what we want, right? Because you got like a shoulder, a head. Let's get another shoulder here, you know? So same thing with ADA, really. Literally the same. You got 3 down. You got 3 down. You got 3 up, right? So same kind of thing. You want to build a little bit of a base and then hopefully continue higher. Oh, this is Filecoin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 actually. So we could be at the beginning process of the this bottom here. So that's Filecoin, Matic. Same thing with Matic. We want to see a base. We want to see a retrace. That's exactly what I think. Ethereum, same thing with Ethereum. We want to see a base. We want to see structure. But see how steep this is down? You kind of need to like get away from that to get going. And that could take some time, but I really hope we can get a V-shaped recovery. That would be nice. W, X, Y, X, Z, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chainlink. Sergey, the guy that created Chainlink, I think he was on Paul Barron Network, and they were talking about some interesting things. If you wanted to check that out on the Paul Barron Network. XLM. I don't know why I have this chart. Gotta get rid of it because I don't ever trade this one. Algo. I'm really hoping this could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. And then you have a 1, 2. Create your base, create your base, create your base. And then continue higher. And then that's your kind of accumulation cylinder in here. You know? Livermore. Bitcoin dominance. Look at the 2-day candle here. That's nice. Look at that. Kind of like a gravestone doji, I think you would call that. I like that candle. Because that tells me that probably the top is in for Bitcoin dominance. So if we take a retrace from this wick, we basically hit the 886 and we can't get above it. So we're right there at that 786 level. Interesting, very interesting. And we do kind of have 5 waves, kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe we get one more little 5 here, or the trunk could be the 5th wave could be truncated. So there's always that. Because ultimately this is it's still trailing up, so we can't say anything for sure. The thing we want to see is for us to go back below 60. Once we do that, then we can start looking further along. Tfuel in the house. Tfuel took the low, right? It took all of these lows out. So you could say that's a good thing. You could say that's a bad thing. I'm neutral on it. I think it's good in the fact that it's a liquidity grab. There's a lot of liquidity resting below these areas in here. And you can see we pierced through that. And then we came back above it. So, but that's a straight line down. So you kind of need a little bit of a base and then continue. Right? Kind of like how we had a big move down. You came up, but then you had to come back down, right? And you kind of created this little box. in here. Because I think Theta Fuel, this wave in particular, I think that wave in particular is finished. You could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think it's completely done. But look at this beautiful 3-wave pullback, guys. I mean, you got 3 waves up, perfect. 3 waves down, perfect. I mean, they're perfect. And you got 5 waves in that wave there, and you're at support, and the tariffs are paused. So there's no reason for prices to continue down. If China wants to escalate things further, obviously that could happen. But, I think they're going to play ball, because I think this is shaping up, guys. I'm going to show you something really, 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 really cool. Look at this. You're about to get super bullish on Theta Fuel right about now. Watch this. I'm going to show you total 3. Some of you know what I'm about to show you. Others maybe not. Look at the 3-day chart on total 3. You can use Ethereum. You don't have to use this chart. But you can see, actually I have to go up to the 4-day just to even fit it in there. You can see this 3-wave move down, 3-wave move down, right? 3-wave move up, 3-wave move up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move down. You see what I mean? And what happens after that? You get in a massive explosion. Massive explosion. And what does that? That is a W shape. This could be a W shape. So, very real possibility. I really like the fractal. Obviously, this was like C19. So basically, we're in C19 right now. Okay? But even C19 didn't even take the low. This did. Obviously, this is the tariff stuff. It's a little different. But I think extreme maximum has already been inflicted. So I don't see much more to go. Again, I could be wrong. This could just be the beginning of this move down. But I don't think so. So, for example, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's an A. And then you have 1, 2, 3. There's a B. And then what do you get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down. There's a C. And then you have an impulse. Whoops. So you have an impulse, and you could get a 3-wave pullback and then continue higher. So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it's going to suck a lot because you're going to have to go down, but it's going to be followed by a big, big move up. So it's either that or this is a double bottom, kind of like a W model playing out. So AVAX, same kind of thing, same thing. It's looking, it's put it this way, it's looking better and better each day. You got bullish divergence on the 4-day. There you go. Look at that. So I think we're there. I think we're really close. This is the dollar cost averaging areas that we should all be considering to DCA, right? So not financial advice, but that's what I would tell myself. 100%. This is a very good spot for dollar cost averaging. AVAX, I mean, yeah, everything looks good. So do you want to know the target for AVAX? I just take a trend-based fib extension from the bottom of this wave, okay, and then we're going to go all the way up, and then we're going to come all the way down. And I'm looking for at least a 1-to-1 extension. That's a $107. Wait, let me make sure this is not on. There we go. That's okay. So I'm looking for at least $104. 1618. That's my target for AVAX is 104. So I think it's coming. I think it's coming. It's going to take some time, but we'll get there. I think that's it. Ave looks like it came right back down to the base, right? So here's your base. You break out, you come all the way back down, you back test the top of the base, you create structure on top of that base, and then you go into the retrace. Everything is saying up, guys. Everything is saying sideways, then up. So we need to go sideways, but in order to go sideways, sometimes you have to revisit those lows. For example, you have a three-wave move up, right? So we might have to come all the way back down and revisit these lows before we, you know, create that base, before we continue in the retrace. I haven't looked at this one in a while. This one has just been completely melting down. Here's Polkadot. See, Polkadot has been creating a base this whole time. It's creating this structure. So it kind of, I think of it kind of like Wyckoff in a way. You know, something like that. I think that's it. Ethereum. We looked at Ethereum. It's really right at all. You have all the support here. So we're just so oversold. I mean, we just came down so fast and aggressive, and it's just, you know, it needs time. You know, look here. You know, that's right where we're at. We're right in the middle of the biggest crash, right, that Ethereum had in 2022. This was the big bear market of 2022. So basically, this whole wave and this whole wave, I mean, that's where we're at. But here's the thing. Look at the big, massive bearish or hidden bullish divergence. So from here all the way up, and then from here sideways. That's hidden bull right there. So I think we have major hidden bullish divergence on Ethereum, and that's why we need at least a little bit of a retrace here. We need some kind of move up. So that's what I'm thinking, and I'm going to continue to think that. Even if we have to come back down and revisit some of the lows, right? So when I go to the 8-hour chart, you know, we have 3 waves up. If we have to come all the way down in 3, you know, it's going to feel like we're going down. But we have to create some a structure here, right? And again, the weekend is coming up, which is Sunday, right? Sunday is the weekly close. Every Sunday for the last several Sundays has been negative, bearish, very bearish. So if we can survive this Sunday, I think it'll help us for the following week. So anyways, that'll do it for this video. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit the like, subscribe, drop a comment. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you. Cheers.